welcome to our show. It's Retirement Compass Radio Show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems, and I have Zach Vancas in the Lincoln office. I can't believe it, Zach. How you doing?
I'm doing great. They actually let me come back for more episodes. I can't believe it.
I can't either. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait, what?
I know. I thought we did a great job, and it was really fun to have your fiance on that day.
That was great. Yes, Addie does a great job. She didn't know she had a future in radio, but now we're trying to get her back.
Trying to get her back on, huh?
That's the goal.
Oh, that's great. And then the nuptials are impending, aren't they?
They are still pending. Yes, the radio show did not tear us apart. We are still good for mid-April.
Wow, it's going to be around the corner.
We are T-minus 2 months.
Oh my gosh, so
coming up.
She had her fitting and all that stuff?
Yep, she's had her fitting. Today, actually, she is getting her makeup tested. Experiment, trial run. I don't know what you want to call that. Mm-hmm. Some makeup lady's doing her makeup today to determine if that's what she wants.
Oh, that's great. It's fun to get all that stuff done and just remind her she doesn't need to be overmade.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Because I saw her and she doesn't really wear a lot of makeup.
I got brownie points this morning because she goes, next time you see me, I'm going to be all beautiful. I was like, honey, you're already beautiful. And she wasn't ready for that.
We kind of like her the way she is.
That's what I said.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes the bride is, not that this is a retirement subject, but it could be for those who are have children who are getting married or grandchildren who are getting married this season. But, that overdone makeup stuff and over sexy gowns, maybe I'm an old fart.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to do that. Like when we did engagement photos, that wasn't at all the case. It was very subtle. It was just a slight enhancement.
Right. Well, very good. I'm looking forward to hearing the result of that. And, of course, congratulations again, Zach.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess we should talk about your 30-year retirement. Gosh, I wonder for you of your generation if it's going to be a 45-year retirement. I don't know. Yeah,
who's to say, with the advancements in medical care, back in the day, you didn't have 30-year retirements. You had 10 to 15. Now you're looking at 30.
Right.
Yeah, average life expectancy in America today is what? Mid-70s, mid to late 70s, I believe.
Right, even into the 80s for the ladies.
Yeah, what that doesn't factor in is that's factoring the fact that you have, everyone who passes away early in life. You have infant passing. All of those get added into that average. Whereas in reality, if you have two spouses who've both made it to the age 65, statistically, one of them is going to hit 90. That's just the case. You no longer have that same life expectancy. It's, you've made it this far. You've dodged all of the perils of the first 65 years of life. So, yeah, statistically, one of you is going to make it to 90.
Wow.
And for my generation, I don't know what that's going to look like. People keep saying the first person to live to be 150 has already been born. I don't know if that's true. We'll see. Eli had a guy come in and we had to run his Monte Carlo simulation to 160. So I don't know if I got behind that one.
Why 160?
He said something about stem cell replacement. I don't know. He was 70 already. I didn't believe it, but hey, if you insist, we can do the math for you.
Really? Isn't that fascinating what you just said?
Yeah, to each their own. I don't know if I want to make it to 160. I guess if it's a healthy 160, sure. But, there's life expectancy and then there's healthy life expectancy.
Wow, that's fascinating. Hey, welcome, everyone. This is Retirement Compass Radio Show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems, reachable on 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. Of course, we are talking about your retirement and your taxes, and all of it is going to be mentioned here in the show. We hope that we keep you for a couple of minutes here. Usually we have Tim Kulhonik in the Lincoln office, and it's great to have Zach Vancas, but not limited to the Kearney office. Stonebridge has Kearney, Grand Island, Lincoln, and Omaha.
Yep, that's right. And if you're outside of those places, obviously we can work remotely. We have clients all over the country.
You really do. I mean, that's not a throwaway line. You actually do have clients that live in other counties here in Nebraska, but Kansas and Colorado, all over the place, Arizona. Florida.
All over the place, yep.
Mm-hmm. So that's fine, yes. And virtual work is preferred by some people, and so that's fine. But make your initial contact here, 866-295-5146. Funny to think about Social Security created in the 30s. Life expectancy was about 61 years old.
Yeah, that's the thing. Today, most people look at Social Security or they rely on Social Security as their sole source of income in retirement. And in actuality, when it first came out, that wasn't its intent. When Social Security came out in the mid-30s, I think the age you had to be to file for Social Security was actually 65, whereas today you can file early at 62. And so you had to be 65 to get it, but life expectancy was 61. So an overwhelming majority of people never even saw it. It was designed to be there for in case you lived too long. Whereas today it has been morphed into this thing where people, it's their sole reliance for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And it was just never designed to be that way, which is why you start hearing about, okay, Social Security trust fund's going to be empty by 2033, 2035, whatever it is. Depends on the day. I haven't checked today. But what that means is, okay, the trust fund is the money coming in from revenue, and then they're getting some kind of return from like treasury bonds or whatever. It's not exactly growing. And then the money goes out. Well, the problem is because of that failure in the design of it, or the fact that we've been relying on it too much, however you want to look at that, they're not able to keep up with the current draws compared to revenue. So once that trust fund is out, right now they're looking at being able to honor roughly 77 cents on the dollar. So if you're getting $1,000 a month, it's going to turn into $770 a month. Now, will that happen or not? I don't know. Obviously, that's pure speculation at that point. How is the government going to implement that? I don't see it being politically advantageous for anybody to tell grandma she's getting a 33% reduction. So I don't know. Maybe they'll grandfather in existing people. My generation, I'm 28. Good luck to me. I'm not really planning on it being there at all. But again, that's pure speculation.
Right. Well, whether it's going to be the baby boomers or you, saving more, of course, is the key so that you can have a retirement. And a retirement that's comfortable and wonderful and all of those types of things. It's really, I can't get my mind off of what you said about the person living to 160 and the client at 70 getting stem cells and stuff. Because think about maybe we're going to be half robotic. I don't know.
Yeah, who's to say? And that's with current life expectancies being the way they are. If we continue on this trend of whatever that ends up getting to, all it's going to do is stress the system even more.
Right.
And so they're going to have to either find ways to cut expenses or increase revenue. I mean, that's just math. If more money is going out than coming in, one of those directions is going to have to get fixed.
That is unbelievable if you think about it. Or the future is going to have to fix it.
Someone will. And it's just the problem is people have tried to bring it up. Politicians have tried to acknowledge it, and it just becomes such a hot button issue that gets people so aggravated. And the unfortunate thing is I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if there's a good one, but something has to happen. And my fear is it's just going to be a game of hot potato until the last second. And then whoever's the unfortunate one to be there when it happens is the one. And in actuality, I mean, this is decades and decades in the making.
Stonebridge phone number 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. There's so many resources that can point you towards Stonebridge and the fellas in all of the different offices. And I'm going to mention a few of those here if you don't mind. We have Legacy done right. That's really fun because Legacy is part of the retirement compass for sure. Let's see, StonebridgeTaxBill.com is a great landing page. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, StonebridgeTaxBill.com. That's where you can go, put in your information, and find out what your potential tax burden will be in retirement and what you can do about it. So the two number one costs that we see for retirees in retirement is long-term care and taxes. That's the thing that nobody likes to think about, nobody likes to talk about. But all across your life, you've been saving up all of this money, right? We were all told, hey, save your money, invest in your 401k. You were putting money in the tax deferred bucket, is what we call it. So you have three tax buckets: taxable, tax deferred, tax free. Taxable would be things like your bank account, right? Every year, make some interest, you pay taxes on it. Tax deferred, so the 401k or traditional IRA, you got a tax deduction kind of going in. It wasn't really a deduction. You just kick that can down the road. The money goes in that account. It gets to grow and grow and grow. And then one day, either you go and you take it out, or you hit age 73 or 75, and the IRS says you have to take it out in the form of a required minimum distribution. And congrats, you get to now pay income taxes on all of it. So that tax deferred bucket is what we call the growing, building, ticking tax time bomb.
Okay.
You've been saving all this time, and one day you're going to have to pay taxes on all of that. And at what rate? Who's to say? So what StonebridgeTaxBill.com can do is figure out, okay, what is the possible tax burden on that going to be? And then if you implement some different tax planning strategies of, say, Roth conversions, whatever have you, what can we do to try and mitigate that? You have a mandatory and you have an optional tax bill. Obviously, our goal here is for you to pay that mandatory. I can't get you out of paying everything. There is something, but you have no patriotic duty to overpay on your taxes by any means. So what's the most efficient way for you to get it out?
Okay, our patriotic duty, that is to get a plan together so that you can have some tax strategies and advantages when it comes to the taxes, obviously. Here's the phone number, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. Again, at StonebridgeTaxBill.com and Stonebridge Wealth Systems on the big YouTube.
The big YouTube.
The big YouTube.
You can see me there.
I know. You can see both of us on there. Now, mind you, they don't use me for their TV because they got a really long, young, beautiful woman with long blonde hair for that job.
I have never been on TV either, Jackie. Don't worry.
Well, gosh darn them.
Jeremy. I don't know why they picked those two. I think of all the advisors, if we're talking just aesthetics, I think Eli and I would be the combo they need to put on there.
I think so too, but boy, isn't that funny? That is funny. One more time on the number, 866-295-5146. Be right back. We're going to talk about sequence of returns, 4% rule, and all those riveting subjects.
Is your retirement being eaten up by financial termites like hidden fees, inflation, and avoidable taxes? Call today for a complimentary financial review so we can help you root out these retirement killers.
We're talking about the 30-year retirement situation. I don't want to call it a problem on Retirement Compass radio show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems. And in the Lincoln office, I have Zach Vancas. It's not a problem to be retired all those years.
No, it's not a problem at all. I mean, that's the goal. It's your golden years, as they call it. Mm-hmm. You know, you worked all your life, and you know it's time for you to enjoy some of it. But there's going to be some planning that goes into that. I mean, you've spent the last 60, 65, 70 years, whatever it is, saving and investing, and now suddenly everything is going to shift to spending. And a lot of people, that's a big lifestyle change.
Oh, talk to me about that, the distribution phase of your life, right?
Yeah, it can be a difficult transition for a lot of people. And you know, a lot of younger people that we talk to, that's just so foreign to them, the idea of, you know, once I get there, I can't wait till I can start spending. I'm not going to struggle to find a way to spend all that money. And for some people, it's not a struggle. Sometimes it's too much in that direction. But for a lot, you know, the ones that we see that get to retirement with this great, big, beautiful nest egg that they've grown, saved, nurtured for 60 years.
Yes.
The idea of watching, I mean, you've spent your entire life watching that number go up. And now suddenly you have to watch it go down or not go up, right? I mean, that just is so uncomfortable for people. That's so foreign for people. And it just creates so much uncertainty of, okay, how much can I take out, right? Can I take out 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 10%? You know, what's a safe withdrawal amount? And oftentimes what we see is people who don't have a significant fixed income, you know, stream, they end up underspending essentially. They are so worried about spending too much money that they end up passing away with boatloads, and it turns out they could have spent who knows how much more.
Now that's an interesting concept. If they don't have a plan, they're not working with a team, not working with a planner, retirement planner, then you could pass away with money, a whole big boatload of money, like you mentioned, and maybe that isn't planned for properly. So you're just giving your IRA account to a child, or, and boy, howdy, they're going to have to pay the taxes on it.
Yeah, there's the other side of that, as the tax obligation to it as well. Of okay, well, if you have this big IRA money and you don't end up spending it because either you don't want to, you're afraid to, you don't need to, whatever that ends up being, obviously that money's going to grow and grow and grow. And once you hit age 73 or 75, depending on the year you were born, if you were born before 1960, when you hit age 73, if you were born after 1960, when you hit age 75, you're going to have to start taking money out of that tax-deferred bucket. So think traditional IRAs, 401ks, 401a, 403b, 457, the state retirement plan, NPERS, NEPERS, whatever you want to call it. All of those accounts, you're going to have to start taking money out of it and paying the taxes on it. If you pass away and your kids inherit money in that tax-deferred bucket, they're going to inherit what's called a beneficiary IRA, and they will have 10 years to empty that account, paying taxes on all of it. Now, how they empty it is, of course, that's up to them. They can take everything out day one. That's a measurable tax bill. They can take nothing out and let that grow, and then in the 10th year, take everything out again. That's a measurable tax bill. Or they can take, 10% or some of it out every year. Any combination in between there, it's completely up to them. But the account must be equal to 0. 10 years, at least December 31st of the 10th year following the date of your passing. All of it has to be out, and all of it has to be taxed.
It almost seems so unfair, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going to get you some way. Mm-hmm. Right now, government's 38, 39 trillion in debt. I don't remember. I mean, by the time the show's there, we could be at 40. Who knows? But the show's going to air in a few days. Who knows? So, they're 38 trillion in debt, we'll call it. And right now there's roughly $40 trillion sitting in retirement accounts. An overwhelming majority of that is in the tax deferred side, so not Roth. So they know where every penny's at. They know it's there. And they obviously need it. And so that's where, when they passed the Secure Act, the goal there, I can't remember what the acronym is exactly, but it's basically like saving everyone's retirement, something. Whenever the government names a bill, assume it does the opposite. Because what it did was implement that 10-year rule. Because they knew, okay, jacking up taxes on the current, generation of the boomers, Gen X, whatever you want to call them, wasn't going to go well. So they're just going to get it from your kids. If they can't raise your taxes, that's fine. When you pass away, statistically, it's going to be during your kids' highest earning income years. They're going to have to take all of that money out, pile all of that on top of their current income. Right now, you could be sitting in the 12 to 22% bracket. Well, your kids get to pay 24, 32, who knows?
Okay, that's bananas to me. That my wheels are turning. Here's the number to reach Stonebridge so you can get some of this planned. If this is the hot button for you, please use the number 866-295-5146 and call Stonebridge. 866-295-5146, Retirement Compass Radio Show with, and I have him from the Lincoln office, Zach Vancas. Now, Zach, you're making my wheels turn in my head here. So the government knows that all these trillions of dollars are sitting here. Mm-hmm. They're in debt over here for all this barillions of dollars, right?
Yeah, bajillions.
Yeah, bajillions. And then the kid, they're going to get extra tax money from the children who inherit this money. So what's the way around it? Can we talk solutions here?
Yeah, so it's not all doom and gloom. There's all sorts of different avenues we can look at from a tax planning, whether it's to benefit you or to benefit your kids or any combination in between there. One of the questions I always love to ask in that first meeting when I'm doing all the fact finding to understand your individual situation, I always make, it's kind of a joke, but it's a real question. I always say on the spectrum, when it comes to leaving money to your kids to inheritance, on a spectrum of I want the last check I ever write to get bounced, I'm spending everything, to I'm not going to eat to make sure my kids get more money, where are we? And there's no wrong answer to that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your money, it's your decision. But you're somewhere on that spectrum. And based on that, obviously my recommendations are going to be different and everyone's situation is unique. Let's say you're closer to, I'm going to spend all of it, last check I ever write's going to get bounced. Okay, well then there's different things we need to do about that. Maybe it's Roth conversions. What I mean by Roth conversions is if we think back to the 3 tax buckets, taxable, tax deferred, tax free, it's taking money out of that tax deferred bucket, so your traditional IRA or your traditional 401k, and moving it to your Roth. Well, that's taxable. Like if you take money out of the tax deferred bucket, I don't care why it came out, whether it's a conversion, it's to buy a boat, it's an RMD, or it's an inheritance, whatever reason, if it leaves that bucket, taxes. So I'm telling you to voluntarily pay taxes. I know it's crazy, but bear with me here.
All right.
We move money from the tax deferred bucket to the tax free bucket. Okay. Once it's in the Roth, it gets to grow tax free for the rest of your life. If you take it out, no harm, no foul. It's your money to spend. If you don't spend it and it goes to your kids still have a 10-year rule. They still have to empty that bucket within 10 years, but there's no tax burden on that. So if they inherit $100,000, for example, they can take all of that out day one tax-free. They can take nothing out and they can leave it there for all 10 years. Let's say they invest it and let's say it doubles. They have $200,000 in the 10th year. They can take all of that out tax-free. But the reason they have to empty it is because the idea of you having tax-free money your entire life and then your kids getting to inherit that and leave it to grow tax-free for the rest of their life, and then maybe that goes to your grandkids and they gets to grow tax-free the rest of their life. Yet the government looks at that like a beaver looks at running water and says, absolutely not. Like they're putting a stop to that. So back to the conversion example, moving money from the tax-deferred bucket to tax-free. Again, that incurs taxes. Well, why would we voluntarily pay taxes? And that's a fair question. And the reason is it's not a question of if, it's when.
It's when.
You're paying taxes. Like it's going to happen. Either you're going to take the money out to spend it, you're going to be forced to take it out at age 73 or 75, or your kids will. Someone's paying the taxes and it will happen. And it's a question of at what rate. If you're in the 12% tax bracket today, and I know after your RMDs kick in, you're going to be in the 22% bracket and your kids are going to be in the 24% bracket, well, paying 12 today to not pay 22 tomorrow, that's a good deal. I'd take that deal. That's the math. And that's why I say it's unique for everyone's personal situation. Where are you on the tax map today? Where will you be tomorrow? Where will your kids be? And do you even care? Because I've seen people do very aggressive conversions that they will never see the benefit of in their lifetime. But it's worth it to them because their kids will massively. If that's not you, then we can back off a little bit and make sure, okay, we're converting at a rate that will benefit you materially in your lifetime.
Oh, hey. Oh, all right. So it's not an either or, but it is it depends upon what you want.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot that goes into it. And that's why I don't want to say anything like, oh, you need to convert X amount a year or you need to convert X dollars. Like that's not, it is such a unique situation. There's so much planning that goes into it because conversions, the other thing they're going to affect your Medicare premiums. That's based on your income. Well, a conversion is income. RMDs are income. That adds a whole other layer to the math. So there's a lot of factors that you really have to consider when it comes to doing something like a conversion, which is why it's important to sit down with somebody and work on an in-depth plan.
And that's your invitation, right, to get on in there. And let's talk about that in-depth plan because the other points on the retirement compass need to be considered as well, right? Mm-hmm. Here's the number for Stonebridge, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. You could also check out their website. Their main landing page for Stonebridge is stonebridgeiwm.com, stonebridgeiwm.com. And you can see all of the links for the TV show locally, all the links for the YouTube channel, which is Stonebridge Wealth Systems. You can listen to the past radio shows, et cetera, et cetera. And, of course, meet the team. You can see all of your headshots on there. What's wrong with Eli's headshot, though? That's kind of out of place. Have you seen it lately?
No. Why? Is it the one where he has a pink jacket on?
Pink coat. Yeah, wearing a pink coat.
I love that pink jacket. I've never seen it in person, but I know the headshot you're talking about.
All right, everyone. Again, that website, if you want to look for yourself, it's stonebridgeiwm.com. By the way, he is at the Omaha office. Anytime you want to see him. Oh, golly.
As Americans, we strive for better. From a better house to a better career to a better life for our children and grandchildren. Better has become the American way. When it comes to your retirement, what does better mean to you? Does it mean more income, a flexible lifestyle, better solutions? A better retirement begins with a financial plan. To get your complimentary written financial plan, call the number you see here. You only retire once. This is your opportunity to plan for better.
So glad to have you here on our show, Retirement Compass Radio Show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems. And I've got Zach Vancas here from the Lincoln office. And Zach, the salmon-colored jacket and the salmon-colored pants that Eli wears, what are we going to do with him? He's very bold.
I know. It's very bold. I wear a lot of blue or gray, neutral colors that match everything, as I have a red flannel on today. But a pink jacket and salmon pants, that's bold. That's real bold.
And he has dark-rimmed glasses, like the thick, dark-rimmed
Yep.
70s glasses.
Yep. And then silver hair and beard. He's iconic.
He is. He's an icon walking through town, isn't he?
He is.
Resident of Lincoln. But he does work out of the Omaha office. So if you are hearing the show in Omaha, you want to see Eli over there, that's fine. Well, all the members of the team are experienced. Doesn't matter who you see, but to go through this phone number, 866-295-5146. We did talk about the legacy portion of the retirement compass, but you want to talk about still about the money and your withdrawal rate and I guess the 4% rule. I don't know why that sounds so old-fashioned, but we're talking about, I guess, busting the myths here.
Yep. Yeah, one of the big prevailing sentiments in retirement is the 4% rule, which what the 4% rule is you take whatever your nest egg is. Okay, let's easy math, say it's $1 million.
All right.
You can safely withdraw 4% a year, so $40,000, and your investments 95 or 99% of the time, I don't remember exactly, will be fine. You're not going to lose much principal. You're not going to run out of money. Like, you can just withdraw that $40,000 a year in perpetuity. On average, with a 60-40 portfolio, you should most of the time, 99% of the time. Market growth will offset it, and you'll balance out. So it's a safe withdrawal amount. Now, there's a lot more that goes into that. And the reason why the 4% rule exists, because for a lot of people, that sounds really low. Like Dave Ramsey will tell you the 8% withdrawal rule. I don't subscribe to the 8% rule, and his logic behind it is, okay, well, the stock market's going to average 8 to 12. Let's say inflation's 4, you can withdraw 8. And sure, in a perfect world, if we're talking about linear returns, that would work. But the stock market's not a perfect world with linear returns.
And Dave Ramsey does not have a license to give this information. He's an entertainer.
Yeah, incorrect, yes. The reason is the stock market is not linear, okay? Yes, the S&P 500 has averaged 10% for the last 100 some odd years. Great. That doesn't mean it's going to do 10% in 2026, okay? Rarely does the market return 10%. It's either up 20-something like we saw in 23, 24, or up 18% like we saw in 2025, or it's down 30. Like, it rarely is it just flat 10. You're going to have up years and you're going to have down years. Now, 70% of the time it's an up year, but there are down years. And you have this concept, what's known as the sequence of return risk.
Okay.
What that means is, okay, sure, if you had a $1 million portfolio and it grew at a flat 6% a year and you took 4% out, yes, you're fine. But, okay, let's say you retired in 1999. What did you experience? Well, you retired. Stock market averages 10% a year, right? Well, what happened in the very, very early 2000s? The dot-com bubble popped. Okay, market fell off a cliff. Okay, you had September 11th. Market didn't have a good day.
No.
You had 2008. Market had a really bad day. I mean, market got cut in half, right? And so suddenly you hit retirement with $1 million, and you're thinking, I can take $40,000 a year out. And let's say in 2000 you take $40,000 out. Dot-com bubble bursts. You're down 30%. Okay, you don't have $1 million anymore. You've got 660,000.
Oh, yikes!
300 in the collapse, and then you took 40 out. You take another 40 out. Now you're down to 620. So in 2 years, you're 40,000. In actuality, you're down almost 400. Like, you're almost half. And then it's going to start to trickle up a little bit, and then 2008 is going to come in. Maybe at that point you're sitting at, I don't know, 700,000. Okay, 2008 hits, congrats, now you got 350. You take 40 out, now you got 310. Can you see how now suddenly the math is different?
Whew.
Now imagine if you had, now 4% rule, it's, again, 99% of the time you'll be okay. 8%, that math changes a lot.
That is giving me anxiety.
Yeah, so that's where sequence of returns risk comes in. Now, let's say instead you retired and the first 5 years of retirement were awesome. Market was up a ton. Let's say you retired just after 2022. You had $1 million after that, and you had 2023, market's up 20-something percent. 2024, market's up 20-something percent. 2025, market's up 17.9%, right? That's your first 3 years of retirement. You're probably way, way golden with a higher withdrawal rate. Maybe it's closer to that 8% number. The problem is you don't know. And those first 5 years, we call it the retirement red zone. The 5 years before and the 5 years after you retire are crucial in avoiding massive market downturns, because that sequence of return risk, it's a doozy. And even if the market's averaging 10%, if those bad years happen at the wrong time, recovery is difficult.
866-295-5146. Call Zach and the team and say, hey, 866-295-5146. So what can I do? I don't want to have to be watching this market situation. If there is a downturn, be lunging for the screens,
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of different factors that go into putting together an income plan. The retirement compass process we have is the 5 areas we help with: their income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy. Most people, when they think of a financial advisor, it's just investments, right? What stocks, mutual funds, bonds, ETFs are we buying?
Right. That's our impression, yes.
Yep. And there's just, at the end of the day, there's so much more to it. We've been talking about mostly taxes and legacy so far this episode. Now we're on the income side. So you're going to have some Social Security, okay, whatever that is. Let's say you need $100,000 a year in income, in spending. You spend that much a year. Okay. Let's say you and your spouse get 60 in Social Security. Okay. We're 60% of the way there. I need another 40.
Okay.
Well, if you got $1 million portfolio, 4% rule, there's your 40,000, you're at roughly 100. Again, 4% rule, you're going to be good overwhelming majority of the time. But I think there's a better way to do it than just, hey, we're going to put it in a 60-40 portfolio and take 4% out. That doesn't factor in the tax side of it, and Roth conversions. There's a lot more we don't know there. But the other thing is, like I said, that sequence of returns can come in, freak people out. They don't want to spend 40 anymore. Suddenly they back way off on their expenses. Turns out they were fine. They underspent, whatever it is. So in situations like that, one of the things we may recommend is pursuing more of a fixed income or a personal pension option. And there's ways we can implement that. One of the ways is, we call it the A word, an annuity, where you put some of your nest egg into this instrument that generates you, in this example, a guaranteed $40,000 a year, regardless of what the market does.
Yes. Oh, good.
So the rest of your nest egg, you can invest a little more aggressively, get a little more growth on it. You don't have to worry about sequence of returns risk. Your bills are paid. Between Social Security and that fixed income, there's your 100. You're good. The lights are on, food's on the table, the mortgage is paid if you still have it. You're good. Market gets cut in half. Okay, fine. Maybe I won't buy a second Blake house, or maybe we're not going to go on as big of a vacation this year. But your general expenses are more than covered. One of the things we'll call that, and there's a study done, I don't remember by who, they called it the license to spend. People with the same nest egg following the 4% route versus having like a fixed income, mailbox money, so Social Security plus like an income annuity. They have the same net worth, they're making the same amount of money a year. But the people with that guaranteed income will spend more. It's just psychology. It's not math, it's psychology. And personal finance is 80% behavior and psychology. Having that guaranteed income just takes away from all of those concerns, the uncertainty of, I don't want to see that balance go down. Well, what happens if next year is a 2008, right? The math may say you're okay, but that's not how psychology works.
Now, Zach, I feel frustrated because when I tell people this, members of my family, because what I've learned, from Tim and Jeff and you and the gang here on the show, I say things like that. I'm like, you don't have to worry about the balance because it's over here until you need it or whatever. And the A word really fires people up. Why do you think people are so afraid of annuities?
Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons, and I'm not saying that's your only option. There's plenty of other options we can look at from an income planning standpoint.
All right.
Whether it's different fixed income instruments, structured notes, buffered ETFs, that sort of thing, or just having your portfolio partitioned off of, okay, we know we're going to have, 30%, 40% of the portfolio allocated in a very specific way. The years the market's up a bunch, well, we're going to start selling our NVIDIA stock. Not specific advice. That's just an example. I'm going to sell my NVIDIA stock because it's up a boatload. That's what I'm going to use for expenses. Let's say the market's having a really bad day. That's when I'm going to start drawing on the safe, boring stuff.
Okay.
And leave my aggressive stocks to rebound. So there's ways we can do this. That's not the only way. Why do a lot of people dislike annuities? Well, there's a lot of bad annuities out there. Like there are. People come into our office all the time.
With a bad annuity?
Yes, with bad annuities. They were sold by insurance people that aren't necessarily fiduciaries.
Uh-oh.
They've got 70, 80, 90, 95% of their net worth in annuities, which I don't even know how they got that passed because that's not going to pass suitability. You can't do that. But I see it probably a couple times a month. Somebody comes
Really?
in. Yes, it's constant. Or they've got dozens of annuities. That doesn't
Dozens?
yeah. We had somebody come in who inherited 23 annuities from her mother. It was a mess. So you have that sentiment out there. Additionally, a lot of people have things like variable annuities, which are very high fees. The returns aren't great. They're just not implemented properly. What we like to do is say, okay, let's just carve off, if I could tell you, let me rephrase it. Ignore the A word. Let's say we never said it.
Okay.
And I just say, Jackie, in retirement, would you be open to the idea of taking 20 to 30% of your nest egg, putting it in an instrument that cannot lose money? It'll get some returns. Is it going to beat NVIDIA? No. Gosh, no. But it can't lose money. And it could give you a guaranteed stream of income for the rest of your life. Is that something that would be appealing to you?
Right.
And a lot of people would say yes. That's the instrument here. Like, that's what it does.
So many people would say yes.
Right. And I don't want to do it with a massive portion. I mean, think of it like it's a pension. Like the income annuities, we call it a personal pension. Those of you that work for the state of Nebraska, you have NPERS, Nebraska Public Employee Retirement System. When you retire, you have the ability to roll all of your NPERS money over to an IRA and invest it, or you have the ability to turn on the pension. If you read your paperwork carefully, the words you're going to see all over that paperwork is annuity. The teacher pension. When you take your lump sum of your teacher money, and Tim's talked about this on previous episodes, teachers especially end up with more money in retirement than they did while they were working. They rolled their NPERS balance into the state annuity.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Right. I want to stop you there because of time. 866-295-5146. 866-295-5146. Isn't that a stinger? Oh, by golly, I have an annuity after all. We'll be right back.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
I wanted to try to tie in. We've been talking about, retirement, of course, and the points on the retirement compass. And Stonebridge number is 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. And when we were talking about how much you can spend, right? Mm-hmm. Sequence of returns, where's this money going to be, putting it in an annuity, et cetera, et cetera. Now, when you sneak over to the legacy side, you can't really go to legacy without touching down on health care, in my opinion, or long-term care. Because the strategies of wealthy people so that they don't get caught up in having to pay, cash for having someone come to the home and help them in the home should they require long-term care. They of course they have a life insurance policy. Mm-hmm. Or you can get a rider on an A word, right? Mm-hmm. Annuity.
Yeah, the A word. Yeah.
Right, the A word. But I think it's just so important. I don't know if you have seen grandparents or anyone need this kind of care or talk to your clients where all of a sudden something happens and critical care has jumped into the forefront of the whole family's life. Mm-hmm. Who is going to take care of mom?
Yeah, there's a lot that can go into that. There's a lot of variables. And unfortunately, like I said previously in the show, there are the two number one costs to retirees right now is long-term care and taxes. Obviously, we've talked a lot about taxes today, and we talk a lot about taxes on a lot of the radio shows.
Yes.
And there's a lot we can do about that. And long-term care, there's also a lot we can do about it. The downside to it, of course, is it's really one of the biggest unknowns. It's one of the biggest variables. That's one of the reasons why we don't like a lot of the traditional long-term care policies where you pay all this money.
Right.
And oftentimes what we see is people take out these policies in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and the premiums aren't bad. And then every few years, a lot of those companies went bankrupt, but the ones that are still around, every few years, premiums go up and goes to $100 a month, and then $200, and then
we don't want
$300.
that. We don't want these policies then.
Right. Well, and we'll run into situations where somebody will come in their mid 80s, and it's just like I can't pay $1,500 a month anymore. And statistically, they're getting to that point where they're going to start to actually need the thing they've been paying for.
Need the benefit, right?
Right. And so they either stop paying for it and never get the benefit, or they pass away never having needed long-term care. You just pass away peacefully in your sleep one day and you don't need long-term care, and suddenly you've been paying for this thing all of this time that you just, A, you hoped you never use, and B, you never do use. And a few alternatives to that, like Jackie mentioned, there's the rider on the A word, the annuity. Mm-hmm. So I mentioned earlier, you can take a portion of your income, turn that into guaranteed income for the rest of your life. Or a portion of your net worth, turn that into guaranteed income for the rest of your life. Let's say, in my previous example, you have an annuity that's paying you $40,000 a year. Some of them will have a chronic illness rider on it. Essentially, we call it long-term care rider. It's technically a chronic illness, terminal illness rider, where let's say you can't meet 2 of the 6 activities of daily living.
Okay, so let's picture grandma or your mom or somebody who's early 80s, and all of a sudden the walking is not happening.
Yep.
So that means they can't transfer from the bed to the bathroom.
Yep.
Now there's your 2.
Yep. So they fail to meet 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, and suddenly that $40,000 a year in income can, in some cases with the right riders, double. And now suddenly they're getting $80,000 a year for a period of time, 5 years, whatever it ends up being. Obviously, this is policy specific, but that's sort of one avenue we can look at. The other avenue is the life insurance with long-term care hybrid. A lot of the time we find that being a little more efficient than the annuity side. However, it's life insurance, so it's subject to underwriting. There's that loophole caveat that we have to get through. And the way these work is, imagine you take out a universal life insurance policy. It's guaranteed to your age, 110, 120. And if you pass away, somebody gets money. It's life insurance. That's how it works. Only it has another little caveat, a rider, in that if you fail to meet 2 of your 6 activities of daily living, suddenly you now start to receive an income. You are getting to benefit from your life insurance policy. You don't have to pass away to get it.
Right.
The reason why we use a life insurance wrapper on that is because, let's say, in that example, you pass away peacefully in your sleep, never having needed long-term care. The premium didn't go to nothing. There's at least a death benefit that goes to people, place, organization that you care about, rather than just the insurance company.
You can get more information about this, 866-295-5146. Do you like this strategy?
Yeah, oftentimes we do. It's definitely something that we try and build into a lot of plans because long-term care really is that ultimate unknown. But it has to be done in a way that you don't want to sacrifice all of your retirement and put everything you have into this one instrument that this is not, or may not never need, right?
Well, yeah, but that's not suitable. You wouldn't do that with anything.
Right. But, having that backup plan is definitely there. And some people can self-insure. And oftentimes we see that okay, we've done the math and, whoever, I think it was Northwestern Mutual put out a study that on average, women need 3.6 years of long-term care and men need 2.2.
Okay.
And so we can do the math and estimate high. Okay, let's say she needs 4 years, he needs 3 years of full-on nursing home care, factor in some inflation. Statistically, you're not going to run out of money if you have to pay for that. Okay, that's self-insuring. That's obviously great. But some people just want that peace of mind of knowing if something happens, you have that income coming in so we can take care of mom or we can take care of dad. And it's one less variable that we don't know about. And obviously it's, again, circumstantial. Everyone's situation is different.
And here's the number for Stonebridge, so you can call and talk it over, 866-295-5146. We can't emphasize enough that it is situational. Every family is different. But it is worth a conversation. 866-295-5146. Does it play into your entire retirement plan with Stonebridge? But I don't know, it's fresh in my mind because of, I have a brother who is in a nursing home, but it's paid for by the state, and he's in Nevada, and it's a very nice state-run nursing home, but it does not have bells and whistles and pretty things. You know what I mean? It's very basic.
Yep.
They take care of him very well, but it is not bells and whistles.
Right.
And if you plan for, a really nice place and bells and whistles is what you want to have happen, or you want somebody to just remain in the home without having the oldest daughter have to give up on her career and her life and her children and grandchildren to take care of mom, well, then this is something to think about. So that's why I like to talk about it. 866-295-5146, let alone, Zach, the health care costs just for the regular retiree who is pre that stage of their life, but still trying to pay for all of the things that come along with, you're on Medicare, the two of you are aging, you're in your 60s, and here you have some money that you're going to have to pay for some of these procedures and examinations and so forth.
Yeah, there's a lot that we have to factor in when we're building your plans out. Obviously, one of the things we build in is expenses. Whatever your current expenses are per month, let's say it's $4,000, $5,000 a month, and we'll build in an inflation factor with that, 3%, 4%, whatever that ends up being. But then there's the healthcare side that we have to consider. Obviously, there's just the base cost of Medicare plus a supplement, and those are increasing. And then there's just the general costs of healthcare, which is a lot closer to 6 or 7% inflation. So we build that in as well and show, okay, that healthcare side of your retirement is going to begin to disproportionately outpace your normal spending. So that's something that we, in and of itself, have to plan for. The other thing we have to plan for is your Medicare, again, can get more expensive over time because inflation. But the other factor that we have to really consider, and this one jumps out to a lot of people, is our dear, as Dano calls them, dear Aunt Irma. Okay, Irma, it's not a person. Yes. Irma stands for Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. That is, Medicare is income-based. And IRMA is the thresholds that your income, once you go above a certain level, triggers an increase in your Medicare premiums. So what I mean by that is, let's say, and people think, well, my income is not going to skyrocket in retirement, so I'm good. Well, back to our earlier conversation, if we're doing something like a Roth conversion, it could, or when RMDs kick in.
Yes,
you
sir.
have $1 million sitting in your IRA, and let's say you're not touching it, you're not spending it because Social Security and state pension are enough. Well, when you turn age 73 or 75, depending on the year you were born, you're going to have to start taking money out. And I was in a meeting yesterday where with this couple, their first RMD was going to be like $100,000. That was going to be required to come out. Suddenly, they're triggering 2 IRMAs. So the Medicare premium that they're paying, it's going to go up by hundreds of dollars a month each. And once those RMDs start, there's no one doing it. They're coming out. And every year, they're going to go up slightly. Not to mention, IRMA thresholds, they increase. People's Medicare premiums increase. We were talking earlier in the show, Social Security is, trust funds empty 2033, 2035.
Right.
No one's complaining about Medicare running out of money. Why? Because the Medicare Board of Trustees gets to vote on how much money they need. So
this is a good place. This is a good place for me to say this is why somebody listening to the show wants to talk to Stonebridge to understand these nuances about your claiming strategy, about all of it. 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146, Retirement Compass Radio Show.
Did you ever think your retirement would be shared with our government? It's true. Your traditional 401k, IRA, pension, or similar retirement accounts are like a partnership with the IRS. Simply put, they want their tax dollars, and you have them. With our latest tax calculator, you can plug in your own numbers while sitting at home. To find out what your future tax liability could be, scan the QR code or go to stonebridgetaxbill.com.
S Corp, C Corp, all those things. Hey, welcome back to our show, Retirement Compass Radio Show. A radio show for our ag clients, this segment, because, Zach, this is really fascinating what you're talking about, what farmers do in the legacy plan. And I want you to take it from here, because you were saying something about an S Corp and they don't pay themselves. You talk to me.
Yeah. One of the things that we run into a lot with farmers, and a big subject of the show, is on income planning. And that's farmers spend their entire lives trying to not pay taxes. Now, no, this is not a public service announcement telling people to pay more taxes.
No.
But they spend their entire lives trying to mitigate their tax burden. Okay, one of the things we see oftentimes farmers do is they have an S Corp, they pay themselves a reasonable wage, and then everything else comes out as a distribution so they don't have to pay FICA taxes. That's one way to do that. That's great. However, what we've seen is farmers come into our office, they have a great net worth, they have a great living. They get to retirement age and they're like, yeah, I'm going to stop farming because I'm 70. And a lot of farmers are thinking, wait, that's young. We ain't
Right, because they go till their 80s. So many guys do, yeah.
I get it, yeah. So, but let's say you wanted to retire young at 70 and, okay, it's time to draw Social Security. Wait, why is my Social Security benefit nothing? Well, one of the side effects of you pulling a fast one on the government and having zero in income is your Social Security is based on what your income was your entire working career. So that can backfire a little bit. Now, again, I'm not telling you to pay more taxes for sake of Social Security. What I'm saying is it's important to have an income plan in place. So A, log into ssa.gov and see what your Social Security benefit is ahead of time. And if it's not what you want it to be, okay, that's where we have to start looking at what are we going to do to supplement that income? Is it going to be drawing on investments? Is it going to be, okay, I'm going to keep the farm ground and my residual rental income, is that going to be enough? Is it going to have to be a combination of it? Does my spouse have a 401k at work? That's where it's important to look at, okay, what are all the possible nuances here? Because just relying on that Social Security side, like with everyone, may not be the best bet. So again, that's why it's important to want to come in and see us, sit down with us, talk about your specific situation.
Great. And it's so easy to do. 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. And you'll find Zach. He is in the Lincoln office. But of course, Stonebridge has offices in Kearney, Grand Island, Lincoln, and Omaha. But they can serve anywhere in the Midwest and actually the whole United States if you'd like to work virtually. And some people do. They're like, I don't have time to leave. Maybe when we come into town or something, but and sign some paperwork. But otherwise, let's get some of this stuff done virtually, right?
Yep. We meet with farmers on Zoom all the time. Tim keeps joking about how we need to open an office in Brule, Nebraska.
I know, he teases.
I don't know if we are or not. But
I don't know. It may
if
happen.
You're out in Brule, we can Zoom.
Right. That's fine, too. Again, on that number, it's 866-295-5146. Stonebridge Wealth Systems. Let's see, what else didn't I mention here? I have a few seconds left here. The website, stonebridgeiwm.com, stonebridgeiwm.com. Or on YouTube, it is Stonebridge Wealth Systems. Stonebridge Wealth Systems, and you can see all the stuff that we talk about, all the TV that they do, and then, of course, all these shows. And I guess that's your library, really, for past shows if you want to see everything that we've done previously. Again, it's 866-295-5146. Stonebridge Wealth Systems.